Hi guys, welcome to Multiverse. Today we're going to take a look at Wally West, also known as Kid Flash. Although for quite a while, Wally West was the Flash for about 20 years, so we're going to go through a few variations of the Wally West Flash costume. Also, I'm going to keep things separate. I'm going to keep the comic version, or the not quite the comic version, but the classic version of Wally West and the CW New 52 version in separate videos. So expect another video about the CW version of Wally West. So basically, Wally West started with but pretty much the very same costume as the Flash. When he gained the super speed, Barry Allen made him a costume that was an exact copy of his costume. So you had the Flash and you had Kid Flash, who was a tiny version of the Flash at the time. I've already went through most of these in other videos. Basically, you can get the Flash cowl in the marketplace. You have to get the super speed cowl. Just realized I miscolored the ears somehow. My bad. There we go. More accurate. So you need obviously the Speedster cowl that you can get from the marketplace. You need obviously the Flash emblem, which you can get from the Team Up Time capsules. Or now you have to buy those from the broker. But I would stress, again, as I mentioned previously, I would strongly suggest you purchase the Flash emblem from the broker instead. For the chest and the pants, pretty much the reverse slimline that usually does the trick. Obviously, the Flash boots for the boots. And for the waist, by default, the Speed Force Spectrum is pretty much the better option for the waist. For the gloves, in this case, I'm using the Shrimp Classic, but I will show you an alternative in just a second. So this is the first costume that Kid Flash actually had, which is the very same thing as the Flash. Then at some point in a later storyline, it's a bit. Oh, I forgot. I have the. Sadly, if you're wearing the speed boots, you cannot transform. It's sad, but that's how it works. There we go. So at some point, the Kid Flash got a new costume. It came from a storyline that's a bit convoluted to explain. But basically, Barry wished for Kid Flash to have his own identity, his own costume, and that's what we ended up with. Ironically enough, it's almost the colors that Zoom is using, sort of. But anyways. So for the headpiece, sadly we don't have a Wally West headpiece, and the flash cowl doesn't show the hair of the character. So until they actually come up with an actual Wally West headpiece, the Defiant Crusader is pretty much the option I would use for the headpiece. For the emblem, again, it's the Flash emblem, but you have to color it different because that's the colors that Wally was using at the time. For the hands, I went with the slimline fin. That's pretty accurately the gloves that Wally West used when he was wearing this costume. He wasn't wearing a belt at the time. There was just a weird split between the chest piece and the bottom piece. But the sadly, there's no. I didn't find any style that actually reproduced that accurately. So just using the Speed Force Spectrum makes some sort of sense in that context. Again, for the chest, I went with the reverse slimline. Same with the pants. And the boots, obviously, the Flash boots is what Wally West wore pretty much forever. So I kept the Flash boots. And it gives a pretty accurate version, or a pretty close version of the Wally West Kid Flash character that we had for quite a while. Again, it would be better with an official Wally West with the wings on the side of the head, but what can you do? And then at some point, sadly, Barry Allen died. Spoiler alert. And Wally replaced him using pretty much the same costume that Barry used for a long time. But then in the early 90s, pretty much at the same time as we got the Flash TV show, they gave Wally West a new costume. Basically, we didn't see the eyes of the character anymore. We had these white slit for the eyes with these white eyes, and also they had made the emblem bigger on the chest. That's pretty much the time when we started getting much bigger emblems on the chest of the Flash character. And also that's where we got the shape of the belt that you're seeing right now. That's pretty much at that time we got that shape, that belt shape. I don't know if it came from the Flash TV show or if they did that in the comic and the TV show took their cue of the comic. It pretty much happened at the same time. So my guess is that they did that in the TV show and the comic decided to have a version of the costume that was a bit faithful to the TV show version. So they went with that belt, which was a nice improvement, I guess, on the costume. So this was the costume that Wally wore for quite a long time. But at some point, he came back with a more closer version of the Barry costume without the white eyes. And then, of course, Barry came back, and when Barry came back, actually before Barry came back, they at some point they gave Wally a weird looking costume. The lightning on the chest is not quite right. It should be like on the left shoulder, but that's close enough to what the character looked like at the time. At some point, they decided to kill Barry, and they had to kill Wally, and they had a new Flash character, which was this little guy. And there was a whole mystery about who the new Black Flash or Dark Flash. I don't remember exactly how they were calling him, but anyway, there was this whole mystery about who the new Flash was. And it turns out it was Wally, but from an alternate universe or something. And it's, of course, the costume is missing the wings on the mask. But sadly, I couldn't really use the flash cowl because it would cover the lightning bit, and also the nose was covered. Basically, it was this mask, but with the flash ear, if it makes any sense. And the lightning, again, as I mentioned, should be over the left shoulder. But other than that, this is fairly close to the somewhat black flash that we got. I guess the red could have been a bit darker. Well, let's see what we can do about that. The thing is too dark, it pretty much becomes black. Nah, bad idea. So anyway, so basically this was Wally West for a bit. Until, of course, the real Wally came back and the alternate version. I'm not sure if he died or if he went back to his reality. It's been a while since I read those comics. And then at some point, they pretty much erased Wally West with the new 52. Actually, they created a new Wally West, which was closer to the CW version, which is why I'll keep that as a separate character for for another video. Because basically, they did bring back the classic Wally West character, but they brought him back during Rebirth. At first, he had his, and the first time we saw him back, he had his classic costume, but very quickly they gave him his own costume, and they explained the fact that there was two Wally Wests in the Rebirth universe by the fact that they were cousins. So we'll make a separate video for Cousin Flash, which happens to be more or less the same Cousin Kid Flash, I should say, which happens to be the somewhat the same, not the same, but similar to the CW version. So this is pretty much the current version we have of the classic Wally West. They give him a slightly different costume to, I guess, tell him apart. So they got rid of the yellow and replaced it with white, and this is pretty close to what they ended up doing in that new version with the Rebirth Wally West. But of course, this is pretty much the classic costume that he had for quite a while. But now the new 52 version of Wally West is the one actually wearing this costume, which is one of the reasons why they gave him his own costume, a different costume. So that's pretty much it for now, guys. So I would have shown the powers, but I've done that already a few times, and I guess it's starting to be redundant. So if you want to see which powers a Kid Flash would use, I would refer you to some of my Flash videos that I made, either the Barrel and Flash or the Jay Garrick Flash. Both have the various speedster powers that you can use to recreate your friend Kid Flash. So that's pretty much it for now, guys. So as always, thanks for watching, and hopefully I'll see you guys next time. Bye bye.